Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast on this steamy Tuesday. We're presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up, and you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. We are here in our very finely air-conditioned West Loop Studios.
Temperate. It's beautiful.
I was a little
really nice.
little worried.
A little bit
we've
worried.
Had issues.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I think we should probably still worry. I don't know if we're out of the woods
Nothing
yet.
is guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, I was
Yes.
a little worried getting up to the 3rd floor and like, man, if that door is propped open, I'm just turning around and going home.
I'll do it from my car.
Yes.
Thank you. We got a lot to get to today. The Stanley Cup final begins on Wednesday. We are going to discuss that. We're going to preview that. We've also got our favorite Stanley Cup moments, non-Blackhawks, that we're going to go over today on the eve of the Stanley Cup final. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes,
but
warning, this will not be an entirely Blackhawks show. So if that's not your thing, there's other
Stay
options.
anyway.
Yeah.
Stick
of fun.
around.
Yeah,
Stick
around. We're going to have
It'll be
fun.
There
We'll share
are
some
many
fun
ways
memories.
that we can turn it around to say, well, how does it affect the Blackhawks? How did it affect
Absolutely.
the
Then would we
Blackhawks?
become Maple Leaf fans? Because
Well-
everything apparently affects the Maple Leafs.
Hey, it's the off season. We gotta keep the news cycle going, right?
But since it's a Stanley Cup memory show, there will be no Maple Leafs talk.
Good point.
Ooh,
Strong point by
zing.
you.
Burn.
So as I was, before we get to that, though, we do have a little bit of Hawk stuff to get to here. Every day when I wake up, I start making the rounds through all the Blackhawk publications, all the hockey news around the league. So I log on to The Athletic and go to their Blackhawks page, and I see here, headline, Lazarus, why the Blackhawks shouldn't trade Alex DeBrincat. And right under that, Powers, why the Blackhawks are likely to trade Alex DeBrincat.
Good
They're
cop, good cop,
right
bad cop, baby.
next to each other.
Yep.
And I read Laz's first because I was interested in his take, and we've been discussing this a lot over the last week, month, seemingly year,
Yeah.
because this is the key story of the offseason right now is Alex DeBrincat's alleged availability. And, I'll let you should read Lazarus's piece. I'm not going to read it here for you, but his point is Alex DeBrincat's really good. Draft picks aren't guaranteed, and Alex DeBrincat will still be really good when the Hawks are good again. All of which are valid points.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to take this opportunity to clarify my stance on the DeBrincat thing. We discussed it at length yesterday, and you guys can clarify yours as well, obviously. I'm open to it if you're getting a top 3 first-round pick and at least one almost guaranteed prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not talking about trading DeBrincat to get into the 15th through 20th pick of the first round. Absolutely not. I need something that is as close to guaranteed success as I can get, or I'm hanging up the phone immediately. That's why, to me, this specific Devils trade rumor that won't, I don't know if it's a rumor, trade speculation that won't go away
speculation.
is intriguing to me because it makes a lot of sense for both parties. But just to be clear, I'm not trading him just to trade him.
No.
You've got to blow my doors off for me to make that
You
deal.
have to give me the Alex DeBrincat equivalent of the Brendan Hagel trade. Like, we all laughed when we heard, was it Frank Saravalli that said,
Saravalli,
yeah, Blackhawks are asking for a first-round pick for Brendan Hagel. And I scoffed at that idea. I'm like, nobody's going to give you a first round. Then you get 2
Yeah.
and 2 players.
Yeah.
So it has to be the equivalent of that, not 2 late first-round picks and 2, borderline NHL players.
Right.
But it has to be like that. Oh my God, I can't believe we just fleeced this team for this player. That's the type.
I go back to what Elliot Friedman said on the Oilers Now podcast on 630 Ched. Where he said, think about what would hurt a franchise in their future, and then add to it, and that's what it would take to get Alex
screw a
DeBrincat.
franchise for Alex DeBrincat. That's what I'm for.
Yeah, if the Blackhawks want to completely fleece the future of the Devils for Alex DeBrincat, that's what I'm looking for in trading Alex DeBrincat. Completely to your point, Jay. It's not just to trade him and maybe get a couple maybes. No, you want to get top 3. You want to get prospects that were recent first-round guys that look like, hey, these guys are going to be NHL regulars, NHL like top-end players, like a Dawson Mercer in New Jersey. His name's been thrown around there,
So
too.
think of like a Reichel type of prospect where he's had probably an NHL
Yeah,
look,
at
and
least,
you know
yeah.
that the NHL future is pretty certain. We don't know how great Reichel's going to be, but we know he's an NHL player and a top 6 one at that, pretty assuredly.
Yeah, if if you can get players whose ceiling is impact player, that's what you're looking for, and you're going to get multiples of those.
You basically want to take one season off the rebuild for what you can get for Alex DeBrincat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do that, then don't make the trade.
And to the point that Mark Lazarus is making, he's not wrong.
No, not at all.
Alex DeBrincat is young, elite, proven from everything we know, a good leader, and likely, if he were to sign an extension with the Blackhawks, would be the face of the team in a year or two. Like, we don't know how long. I did it. I pointed to the freaking bobbleheads. We don't know how long Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are going to stick around. These two right here. We don't know how long they're going to stick around. They are currently the faces of the team, but DeBrincat is in the Mount Rushmore of this current roster of the face.
Being potential captain
material
in a year or two.
So yeah,
so you don't trade that guy just to trade him. You trade that guy to make your franchise better and get you closer to a championship.
But to what Powers says is the feeling I get is that it is feeling more inevitable that it's the right thing to do in the rebuild mindset.
My only hope with this is, listen, if the Blackhawks don't trade Alex DeBrincat and they lock him up and he's here for the next 6 or 7 years, awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Mm-hmm. But if they could trade him and get 2 or 3 Alex DeBrincats down the road, I'm in favor of that too. My only hope is Kyle Davidson, and I'm sure this is the case because I have no reason to believe otherwise. Kyle Davidson has his set value, market value of what Alex DeBrincat should bring back, and you don't waver off of that. I either get exactly what I want, or I'm done. I'm moving on. I don't need to trade Alex DeBrincat. I don't necessarily want to trade Alex DeBrincat, but if you want him, show me how bad you want him and make it worth my while.
Well, and Davidson also has the leverage of, like, look, I can very easily sign him to $10 million for the next however many years and be fine with it. We're not cap strapped in any way, shape, or form. We've got cap space. It's not an issue. With Toews and Kane coming off the books, Alex DeBrincat is an easy guy to secure long term. Does he want to be here? That's another question. But all indications seem to be that he's pretty happy here.
Yeah.
And of course he wants to have a chance to win. But, if he feels like in 3 or 4 years they could be back to a playoff team, and then in 5 or 6 years maybe actually contending, he can sit his style of play, as Mark Lazarus points out, is a style that's going to last. He's not necessarily built on speed or physicality. He is a sniper. And that's not going to go away. That shooting ability isn't going to go away. And as we get into our Stanley Cup final preview here, it kind of reminds me of Steven Stamkos, right? Like a similar style of player where it's not like getting destroyed in the corners and out racing everybody, but it's just that dynamic shot. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to go away. That's not something that goes as you age.
Right. He's got that master ability to find the soft spots in the ice.
Right.
He's like not the same necessarily type of overall player, but the same type of shooter as an Alex Ovechkin. Like, how in the hell is he always wide open to get that shot in the left circle? Because he's just that good to get there.
Yep. So, anyway, this will be the hot topic of the offseason and will continue to be until, I would expect if it was going to happen this offseason, it would happen at or before the draft, which is early in July. So, we're going to be on this because it's a story that just will not go away. And every Hawks fan, I mean, my Twitter, my DMs, I'm sure you guys had the same thing. People are just like chiming in with their thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to chime in with your thoughts, you can email us blackhawks@allchgo.com, and we can get to some of those on Mailbag Monday or maybe before that.
And speaking of that draft in early July, we're going to knock it out of the park. We got some exciting stuff planned. We're ironing out the details in full, but if you're a big draft nut, this is the only place you want to be for the NHL draft. That's for sure.
I prefer macadamia nut.
You would.
Yeah.
Too many trips to Hawaii.
That'll do it. Yeah.
All right, so let's get to it. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on ESPN. On ABC. I'm looking at ESPN Plus. On ABC, Game 1 of the Cup Final, Lightning at Avalanche. And I have been wrestling with this prediction since we found out that actually probably before that, because we sort of knew how it was going to go.
Since the Lightning tied the series.
Yeah, right. And I'm not going to make my prediction yet because, frankly, I haven't yet. I don't know. I want to hear your guys' arguments and see who's going to convince me because, as we've said, I've thought since day one Colorado was the best team in hockey. However, as Greg has said, you can't pick against the Lightning until they lose. And they've won, 11 consecutive playoff
11
series?
consecutive series.
And 15 consecutive for Pat Maroon.
Yeah, how about that?
It's really hard to pick against Tampa. I don't know. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to make a prediction yet. I need some time.
I'm ready.
All right.
I truly believe that the Avalanche are the best team in the NHL. They were. I think they were the best team going into the playoffs. I think Tampa is. They're still the champs, obviously, and having a 2-time defending champion back in the final, very hard to pick against that. But I look at some of the series that the Lightning have played. They got down 0-2 against the Rangers, had to come back. They had to go 7 against the Maple Leafs in the opening round. I just look at the path that they took to get here, and I compare that to the path that the Avalanche have taken to get here. I'm going with a team that's fresher, has played fewer games, seems to likely be healthier, and I look at the way that Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar have been playing, and I just don't know how, top to bottom, this Avalanche team loses a 7-game series. So I'm going Colorado. I'm going 7 games because I'm greedy as a hockey fan, and I want as many games as possible between these two teams. I think the biggest thing for me that would sway me a little bit more to the Lightning side is the goaltending matchup between Darcy Kemper, who has been fine. He's been a fine goalie, has done enough to backstop the Avalanche to this point. But Andrei Vasilevsky is who he is, arguably the best goaltender on the planet, and that may be the edge that tips it for the Lightning. But I'm still believing that the depth, speed, and firepower of the Avalanche can outgun the Lightning.
I'm kind of like Jay. I'm torn here because I picked the Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup before the season started. I have them winning the Stanley Cup in our NHL.com bracket challenge. But I've been telling everybody, don't pick against the Lightning. So what do I do here? Do I stick with my preseason pick, or do I stick with what I've been telling everybody else to do? And I'm going to stick with what I've been telling everybody else to do. I can't bet against the Lightning. As much as I love the Avalanche, I'm still going to go with the Lightning in 7 because, for 2 reasons. You mentioned one of them, Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yep.
The Avalanche have not faced a goalie anywhere near his. They haven't faced real star goaltending yet. They didn't get Yushi Saros in that first round. The Jordan Binnington Husso combination to that, and then Mike Smith is Mike Smith. That's not an NHL starting goaltender. So they're stepping up in class there. The other reason I'm going with the Lightning is because they have faced some serious effing adversity in this playoff and have bounced back every time. The Avalanche really haven't. Sure, they lost 2 straight games to the Blues in that series, but did you ever for a second think that series was in jeopardy?
No.
Did you ever think the Blues were going to win that series? No. They haven't had any adversity. The Lightning had to go to Game 7 in Toronto and win after losing Game 1 6-0. They were down 2-0 to the Rangers in the series, down 2-0 in Game 3, and here they are 4 games later back in the Stanley Cup final. Sure. Avalanche haven't played for 12 days, so that Game 1 tomorrow night can be really interesting.
Yeah.
Here's why I do think the Avalanche have a serious chance to prove me wrong. And if they prove me wrong, then my preseason pick is right.
You can't fail.
So I'm golden one way or the other. So I have put myself in a position to
sitting back waiting for the result.
One of my predictions is happening here. But the Lightning have had trouble with speed. They had it those first 2 games against the Rangers. They couldn't keep up with that speed. Some of that had to do with they had the long layoff. And then they had some injuries, and then Gerard Gallant decided, hey, I don't need speed to beat the Lightning. Let's put Ryan Strome out there with one freaking leg and then watch him let Steven Stamkos skate right by. Gerard Gallant proved in the last 3 games of that series why he's had to find a new home every 2 years. People love him, and then you go, I don't know what you're doing. The whole Kako thing is a little...
Cuckoo.
Exactly. I don't understand how you don't go for speed in that game, but... Again, he's got all summer to not talk about it.
Yeah.
So the Avalanche have speed. They got to use that. If Nazem Kadri can somehow play in this series and be Nazem Kadri, that makes him even tougher.
That's
but if Braden Point comes and plays and
yeah.
can be anywhere like Braden Point, that makes the so
which it sounds like is probable.
Yeah, and I don't care because this is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is going to be maybe one of the best Stanley Cup final we've had in a long time. We're going to talk about past Stanley Cup finals here in a moment, segue. But I'm still sticking with Tampa in 7. I can't bet against them at this point. So that did absolutely nothing to help.
Have you been convinced one way or
Actually,
the
it did, but not in the way you think it did, Greg. Your point that Colorado has not faced any adversity is because they kicked the living crap out of everybody they played, and they haven't needed any diversity.
Well, and
diversity,
and they haven't
an old
played.
wooden ship.
They haven't played, but they also haven't played an opponent that could beat Toronto, Florida, or the Rangers.
I mean, you just have to knock down who's in front of you.
I get that,
And they did that.
You know?
and they did
I mean,
impressively.
Yeah. They're just steamrolling
But
people.
what happens if they go down 1-0 in this series? How do they bounce back?
I look at
they
it.
probably do, but they haven't had to yet.
I look at it that the core of this Colorado team has faced adversity over the years. I think one of the points someone made on Twitter recently was that the Avalanche have to learn to lose. They've lost.
Right. They just haven't learned how to win after those losses.
Yeah, they've lost, and they've had the adversities of falling short when expectations were really high. Last season before that, this group of McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Makar, like these guys have been around for those losses, and I think this is the point where, we go back to last year where Adrian Dater had that ridiculous question to Nathan McKinnon about overthinking and just saying, you know what, F it, we're just going to go out and win next year. Honestly, maybe that's what they're doing and just saying, screw it. We're just going to rely on our God-given abilities, our speed, and just steamroll teams like we know we can do.
Yeah, and they, good point, Mario, because Colorado has been the darling Stanley Cup pick for a few years now.
Yeah.
People have seen what's coming from them, and you think about, like, the Washington Capitals and their journey to a Stanley Cup, and the San Jose Sharks, who we talked about a couple of shows ago, like that were just great for a decade, but just not good enough. Mm-hmm. There's your adversity is falling short year after year after year, and finally you get Makar reaching this level of player he's at. Bowen Byram steps in and joins. You add Nazem Kadri, who's phenomenal. Yes, he's hurt right now, but looks like he'll be back for at least the middle of the series.
Yeah.
Like they're just, it is their time, but. Like Tampa gets better as series go on. They seem to get stronger the longer the series go, and I think part of that is the opponent saying, "Oh my God, we've blown a series lead," or this team just won't go away, and it's like a heavyweight bout, right? And the Lightning just wear your ass out to where, and this is how the Hawks were in a dynasty: is teams can hang for a while, but then when the smoke clears, the deeper team is the one left standing. Colorado, to me, is deeper than Tampa. And I'm looking at the 2 years prior, and it's amazing that they got a chance for a third in a row. But last year's Cup and the year before's Cup have nothing to do with this one. They just don't. They're different seasons. They're different situations. Right. So I can't say, well, they won 2 in a row, so they're going to win 3. I can't let that influence my decision. If I'm looking at these two teams as they are constructed right now, because they're not the same teams, different personnel, all those sort of things, I'm going with Colorado. I'm taking Colorado in 7. And yes, Vasilevsky is unreal. He is the best goalie in the world, and until he is dethroned, had Shesterkin won this series, we can have the conversation, but he didn't.
Right.
Vasilevsky he didn't win the series, but the Lightning won the series, so he keeps the crown. But I just look top to bottom at Colorado and all their firepower and all their speed. And look, if anyone's going to give Colorado a shot, it's the Lightning. But I think this is Colorado's time. They're going to win the Cup. they have been the best team all year round, and they're going to prove it. I think they're going to prove it and win it in 7 games.
One other intangible we didn't talk about behind the bench, John Cooper.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. I think he's extremely underrated when talking about great coaches.
Yeah.
He's the master of the adjustment in a series. He doesn't panic. He doesn't make crazy, oh, crap, I'm going to scratch this guy who played for me all year, but then the one game I need to win, I'm going to scratch him because whatever.
Yeah, right.
He never panics. Jared Bednar has been a really good coach. He's never been on this stage.
Right.
I wouldn't underestimate the fact that John Cooper can personally win a game just by out-coaching Jared Bednar.
I remember in 2015, during the Cup final, I was at a Cubs game, and John Cooper was there, and he was just so relaxed. He's just sitting in the crowd. He's smiling. He's like, people are razzing him, and he's waving. You know, he was enjoying the people were recognizing him, I think, first and foremost. But, like, it was right in the heat of the final, and he was not fazed. You know, like, what percentage of coaches would be like, you know what I'm going to do right now? In the middle of the championship series, I'm going to go to a Cubs game and just chill out for a while. And I heard a podcast interview with him, and he was incredibly impressive. And that's a good point. But I think, you know, when it comes down to it, coaching is one thing, and I think a coach's job is to not screw it up. And I don't think Jared Bednar is going to screw things up. You know, I haven't seen any indication from him where he's
too talented.
Yeah.
Even if he does make questionable decisions, his team can bail his ass out because they're so good.
Am I missing something from him though? Was there like a decision during these playoffs and that was a bit of a head scratcher from him? Not that I can really.
But
they have 2 playoff losses, so it's like, what are you going to do?
So let's see what happens if Tampa wins that first game. The interesting thing is goaltending for them.
Yeah,
you've got Kemper supposedly ready to come back.
Seems like it.
But there's no reason to put him in necessarily. So what? So you put Kemper in game 1 and say they lose 3-2. Do you pull the panic button and then start playing hot potato with your goalies?
No, I don't think that's. I don't think that result would warrant
or Kemper
having to hit a
gives up
panic
5.
button.
You lose 5-4 in a typical Avalanche shootout game, or you lose 7-6. Because that's been known to happen in these playoffs. What do you? I mean does he panic and make a change there, and then now all of a sudden you're down 2-0? You lose those first 2 games. You know.
I think at
home
the difference between Darcy Kemper and Pavel Francouz is minimal. So I think if you're making a switch, there has to be something tangible that you're like Kemper is too hurt to continue being the caliber of goalie they would need. So then you go to your backup.
But that could be the only coaching thing that I could think of.
Yeah, that could be the only switch that could really.
But
backfire.
You're right. There's not much of a drop off between those guys. It's kind of like goalie A, goalie
1A, 1B. Yeah.
So
and it just seems that, and it just Kemper has been very good. So there was no reason until he was hurt to have to, go to Francouz.
Well, because I'm a huge company guy, I'm going to use this opportunity to make sure that everybody, if you want really in-depth coverage of the Stanley Cup final, go check out our Avalanche crew at DNVR, our mothership in the Mile High City. They are doing a fantastic job. They've got a YouTube channel too. They've got a great website. Follow them on Twitter, DNVR Avalanche. Check them out. They've been doing some amazing stuff all season long. Go through their YouTube channel when you're done watching our show, of course, and they'll be able to break down the Colorado Avalanche's playoff run a lot better than we can, and give you some fun stuff along the way. So check out.
I cannot wait to see the social videos from the DNVR bar, which is they're going to go through some renovations this summer, but they are only opening for the Avalanche games. That's going to be a lot of fun to see that.
And if you are in the Denver area and you do go there, I probably don't have to tell you, make sure that you're in line early to get a good spot, because I'm imagining
be a hot spot.
That's the place to be for the Stanley Cup final if you're in the city limits of Denver.
Absolutely.
There's no bald mic to let Lawrence in the back door there.
Not this time. No.
There might be
I'm sure there's a bald somebody out there.
Or maybe if you grease the right palms, like, I don't know, Brandon or maybe
Could
Allie.
be.
I don't know. By the way, has anyone ever talked about John Cooper's resemblance to Michael Keaton? Because every time I see him now, it's just like, God damn, it looks like Michael Keaton.
Looks like who?
Michael Keaton,
Mike
award.
Keaton? Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not Mike Keaton, the former coach, but Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. I got you.
Yeah, he's always
Academy
dropping
Award
TLC
winner.
references. No,
Yes.
no one saw that movie.
I believe it.
If you have not seen The Other Guys, you should watch The Other Guys.
Yeah.
It is a diamond in the rough comedy classic.
Well, and I guess and one thing I wanted to say to the point being that, you know, the Lightning, you know, they have faced adversity. I don't think they've faced a team that has the killer instinct that Colorado, that like the ability to, when they have their foot on their neck, to finish it. I think Colorado has, because the Maple Leafs have blue and white syndrome, so they can't finish. The Rangers had them down in game
2-0
three
in the
with
series
a
and
2-0
2-0
series
in the
lead
game.
and
Yep.
could not finish it. And that was a series where it was like the Rangers, if they were going to do it, they had to win game 3.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. I think Colorado is talented enough, deep enough, and they have the ability to, if they get up on Tampa, not let them back in the series.
It's going to be fun. I'm
Yeah.
proposing 7 best of 7 series. So the best of 7 of best of 7. Can we do that?
Yeah.
The best of 49. Let's do it.
Because I can't
Just-
wait. It's
yeah.
going to be awesome. I hope it's not a disappointment, though. We were all jacked up about the
Yeah.
Battle of Florida.
Yeah.
And that was,
Yeah.
Right.
that sucked. No,
Well-
it's going to be great. There's
well,
there's no way this series disappoints.
I think there's too much talent, too many stars, and too many good storylines that it's just whatever way it pans out, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be great hockey to watch.
And
for sure.
I'm happy that a guy like Nathan McKinnon is going to get his due.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's not. Speaking of underrated,
Yep.
he is not up there when you talk about the best players in the game, and he should be. He should be. It's Connor McDavid is the best player in hockey. It's not even, there's no argument there. But that next group right under him, that pack is led by Nathan McKinnon.
Right now it is.
And
Absolutely.
he's going to get on ABC television tomorrow night. He's on ESPN, ABC, Stanley Cup final, biggest stage of his career. I see him just, the talk now is
getting the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's him and Cale Makar are the front runners for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Stamkos is definitely in that conversation.
Who are your Conn Smythe picks?
Connor McDavid. And boy,
He might
it's
finish as the points leader still
crazy.
without playing in the final. That's crazy.
I don't know.
It's so like at this point there's so many guys that have contributed so much to this point. Someone's gonna have to take the final by the throat. I think to really
whoever scores the game-winning goal in game
serious.
7.
Yeah, it's gonna be like when the writers pick the third star at hockey games.
Yeah.
Like 3 is this guy, 2 is this guy, and 1 is whoever scores the game winner.
Yeah, I
You know?
mean, because the Colorado's got 2 guys that are worthy of it in Makar
Yep.
and McKinnon. Either one of those guys, you take one of those guys off that team, and they're probably not there. Tampa has been more of a depth
committee.
team, but
Yeah.
Stamkos, my God, man,
Yeah.
what he did in Game 6, he was like, "F this, I'm tired of this team. We're moving on. I've had enough." His stone cold killer is what
Yep.
I call him on Twitter, and I mean, maybe this is his year to do that. I mean, he's got 9 goals in there, but they've had so many great runs. Palat has been super valuable for that team.
Another underrated hockey
You
player.
can never, a 7th round pick.
Yep.
Yeah, you can never underestimate what Victor Hedman does. I think Victor Hedman is one of those guys that's just been so good for so long. We just kind of assume
He's
that
taken for
just-
granted.
Yeah, like Duncan Keith was
Yep.
here for a long time, and then of course you got Vasilevsky, who take away game 1 from each series, he's been a monster.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, you got to guarantee you win game 2. That's why they lose game 1 on purpose.
There you go.
That pivotal game 2 is important.
except for that one time, but then it didn't matter.
All right. Hey,
I'm
the
going with
best
Cale
way.
Makar, by the way.
Makar.
I'm saying Cale Makar.
Right
wins
now,
it.
if I had to pick, that's what I would pick.
I would give it to Makar, but I think the people that actually vote for it would give it to McKinnon, and you can't go wrong.
No. I mean,
Both of those guys
Both
have been
worthy.
phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're basically like the same player, one as a forward, one as a defenseman. It's remarkable.
by the way, we've done a little bit on like the ESPN stuff on the show since we started. I saw Cale Makar was a guest on SVP Sports Center during the Eastern Conference Final. They are covering hockey.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. Like to have Cale Makar on, like, via satellite, as they used to call it. Now it's via Zoom with the headphones on, and just, a good, solid interview about hockey to lead the show. That's great. And for guys like McKinnon and Makar and Braden Point, if he comes and plays, which he probably will, and Palat, to get on this big stage finally with the right sort of playoff coverage where it's not just like, okay, turn to NHL Network for your post game, right? Like we had to do on NBC all the time. No, it is a focused in. Even the SportsCenter following will lead with the Cup final.
Yep.
It's huge for these guys, and we're looking at the was that the odds, Lawrence, for a Conn Smythe winner?
Yeah, I just thought I'd go to our
old.
good friends at PointsBet.
How are your new glasses, Greg? Because I cannot see
I
that.
can zoom a little more.
It is
Those are extremely small. There, that's a little better. Cale Makar
plus
is
180 for Cale Makar, plus 225 for Nathan McKinnon, plus 350 Andrei Vasilevsky.
Where is Stamkos?
Plus 375 for Nikita Kucherov. Steven Stamkos.
Boy, I don't even see him on the
way
screen.
Down there.
What in the
I don't
world?
even see him.
How do you
He's
not?
not
have-
on the board?
He's not on the board.
I know
Steven
PointsBet is our
Stamkos not on the board.
great sponsor, and we love them. But come on, man, what are we doing here?
I got to make a call.
That's very
How is
interesting.
Corey Perry on there and Steven Stamkos is not?
That's very interesting.
Well, if they add him, it's going to be high odds, and I will take that pick.
Yeah,
There's our play of the week early.
Yeah, I don't really know what. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some reason that he's not. I don't know.
He's too good.
There's got to be a reason.
Too good,
He's too
my
good.
friends.
The house-
30,000
the house is
on
always-
JT Comfer. I'm gonna put $1 on that
There you go.
just for fun.
Why not, right?
Northbrook's own.
All right, well, if you want to place your bets on PointsBet, it's very easy. Download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Do it right now and you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our great web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO Locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free T-shirt from the CHGO Locker, and a free CHGO membership, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. And remember, it is your home for live in-play betting, and it just got even better with live NBA same-game parlay. You can build the perfect live NBA same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the NBA Finals. Want more? You can also boost your live same-game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. So get your phone out, download the PointsBet app, use that code CHGO, and you are good to go. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And CHGO Blackhawks and the CHGO Sports family is brought to you by Athletic Greens. They've recently come on as a sponsor here with us as we've launched, and they have done some wonders for my health so far with the AG1 formula. It is designed to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. I know I do love myself some coffee, but the natural energy from the AG1, I can feel that in the weeks and months that I've been using it. It definitely has made a difference. With AG1, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And if you follow different dietary restrictions, it's good to go. Whether it's gluten-free, dairy-free, keto, whatever it is, AG1, you are set. It's easy to incorporate into your life no matter how busy you may be. It's a small once-a-day habit with big benefits. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop of AG1 in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Once it hits your lips, it's so good.
Nice.
I don't know what that was, but okay.
That was
from
Frank the
old
Tank.
school.
Old school.
Okay,
Tank,
all right.
yeah.
I
Frank the Tank.
Gotcha. All right. Well, and finally, the last way you can really support us, and that's very easy. That's becoming a member over at CHGO.
Yes.
allchgo.com. Become a member. You'll get access to all the amazing written content. It's not just the Blackhawks. It's the Bulls. It's the Bears. It's the Cubs, the Sox, the Fire, the Red Stars, and the only reigning championship team in this city, the Sky. We got it all covered. There's great written content behind the paywall. Also, you get to go to the CHGO locker, the infamous lockers here at CHGO, and pick any shirt you want.
Yeah.
And we're going to send it to you. You can, obviously, we're biased. We want you to pick that beautiful Chicago Blackhawks one right there. Same logo that's on the YouTube screen. But we won't be mad at you if you wear one of our great other CHGO shirts.
So many to choose from.
I'm getting all choked up thinking about how great these shirts are. Obviously, we've got the CHGO ones. You could support us as a whole. The Bears one is great. I personally love the Sky shirt. The colors just pop.
Yeah,
the
it's
logo
beautiful.
is
Looks
amazing.
great.
Our 2 soccer shirts are great as well. You get to pick any one you want. We get it for free. And then you also get access to the members-only Discord server where you can get into all our chats, talk to a lot of our personalities, hang out in there, meet some new friends, tell us why or why not trading Alex DeBrincat is a good idea. We're here for it all, and it's a very low monthly price. So go to allchgo.com, become a member, become part of the community. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build a community, and we can't have a community without you guys on the other side of this camera feeding back to us. So we look forward to you guys joining soon.
Yeah. It's a great place to be. And reminder, those written pieces, it's all ad-free. Allchgo.com is ad-free.
Clean.
So
You
don't have
won't
to worry
get busted.
about
You won't get busted at work because
Yeah.
a random video starts playing.
700 things popping up and you don't know
Yeah.
where, and an ad playing 30 seconds you're trying to
Nope.
read.
Your money helps us get rid of all that nonsense.
All right, so ahead of tomorrow night's Stanley Cup final getting underway, for Top Shelf Tuesday today, we're going to discuss some of our favorite Stanley Cup final moments that do not include the Blackhawks, that's a lot of Stanley Cups to choose from.
Yeah. Yeah.
The majority of my life, yes.
Quite a few of them.
Yeah. So the one I think, and we use it as the show image today for people in our generation, is 2001. Ray Bourque gets traded to Colorado and wins his first and only Stanley Cup. And I think he's one of those guys that was, at the time, and still is, kind of universally agreed on, and everybody liked him.
Yeah.
Just a real, a class act guy who had a stellar career, most of which was spent playing in Boston, and they just never got a cup for him. And this was a clear cup chase. This trade, everybody knew was happening.
Yeah.
Everyone knew before the deadline that Ray Bourque was going to go to Colorado. It happened, and he got his cup. And Joe Sakic handing the cup to Ray Bourque was a very, very cool hockey moment. And I love when, and we ties into the Hawks a little bit, 2010, they give it to Hossa. 2013 was Handzus. 2015
Timonen.
was Kimmo Timonen. Those veterans who had never won one before, getting it handed to them first by the captain. It's such a cool hockey tradition. And the first time I was really cognizant of that was Ray Bourque getting it in Colorado. Just an incredible Stanley Cup final moment.
Well, and that was for me the first Cup final that I remember really watching and paying attention to. We were talking about it during before the show. I that was the late 90s, early 2000s is right when I got into hockey, started really getting into it. And, I didn't really know who to, put allegiance to. I lived in southeastern Wisconsin, so Wisconsin didn't have a hockey team. Chicago was 90 minutes away. I was like, oh, okay, Blackhawks. Oh, they're not that good. Okay, I guess I'll stick with them as a team. But as my generation and our generation kind of developed over the years, video games kind of play a factor into getting to know players and teams. And I played the early NHL games in that time, and in NHL 2001 and 2002, the Avalanche were absolutely just a monstrous team with Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg, and just the list goes on and on. Alex Tanguay, just really good. So I would always play with them, and so that was a team that I watched. And I remember going through that time frame. That was the first Cup final that I remember really paying attention to and really watching. And I didn't understand it as being 11 years old. I was just like, oh, Ray Bourque, cool. That's cool. They're passing the cup around. It didn't register with me until I understood more of the history of the game and the history of Ray Bourque. I was like, wow, that moment is just, you still, you can go on YouTube and find top moments in Stanley Cup final history, and that's always on there. Yep. And the call from Gary Thorne just makes it even better.
Raymond Bourque.
For 22 years. It's just one of those moments that it's just that really can only be manufactured through the Stanley Cup and through that lens.
Well, thank you for making me feel old that you were 11 during the Stanley Cup final. I remember watching Ray Bourque get the Stanley Cup passed to him at a bar, and I wasn't even there on a fake ID. But that's a great one to remember. People forget. Everybody remembers Ray Bourque. But that was 7 games of Patrick Waugh versus Marty Brodeur.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
give
all
me
right.
that. Like,
That was pretty fun.
I mean, and the Avalanche were actually down 3-2 in that series. They had to win the last 2 games of that series. Patrick Waugh says, nope, I'm going to do that. And he only allowed 1 goal combined in games 6 and 7. So
Pretty good.
2 of the greatest goaltenders of all time. If you were to put a Mount Rushmore of goaltenders, both of those guys are probably on it, and they're going at it in their tail ends of Waugh's career, but still amazing. That was good stuff. I always liked the Avalanche, those 90s, early 2000s teams, because the Hawks, that was at the tail end of the Hawks, and then the Hawks got really bad. So I needed a playoff team, and the Hawks weren't in it. So I went with the Avalanche because I loved Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg, and
you hated Detroit.
And I hated Detroit. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Good reason.
But you mentioned the video games helped you a lot in getting to know the players. And for me, it was hockey cards, but even more so the hockey. Remember the sticker albums?
Oh, yeah.
The O-Pee-Chee sticker albums. You would get this book, and each team had their own page, and there was a blank square for each player, and you collected packs of stickers.
Oh, wow.
And then you would put the sticker on each team page and try and fill out each one.
Oh, nice. That'd be
Those
fun.
were awesome, and that's how I got into the playoffs. And that's my earliest Stanley Cup memory was pre-Mario. I don't even think you were born in 1989, were you?
Nope, not yet.
Jesus.
I was 10 days short of 1989.
All right. So yeah, okay. Anyway, 89 Cup final was.
What do you want me to do? Be older?
Be older.
Yes, be older.
Sorry.
That's what we want.
Join the Graybeard Club with the rest of us.
If you look closely, there's a
Yeah.
There's a
Don't
couple
worry, you have a
of
daughter.
You got to
It's
look
coming.
closely.
Yeah. I know.
They could see it through the camera.
we're almost 8 months in, and there's we're getting there.
Yep.
But 89 was my first Cup final I really got into, and I was kind of telling you guys the story, but that was the Calgary Flames, Montreal Canadiens. It was Lonnie McDonald's last ride, and just to show you how a kid's mind works, and I'm dating myself even more here, but there used to be a rust-proofing company called Rusty Jones, and they would, when you went and got your car serviced at Rusty Jones, they put a little decal on your window, and the guy was Rusty Jones. The mascot was a red-haired guy with a big mustache, and that was on my grandpa's car growing up. So when I saw Lonnie McDonald, I was like, that's the guy from grandpa's car. I want him to win the Stanley Cup. And as I got older, and then you get to learn about Lonnie McDonald and like how everybody essentially outside of Montreal was rooting for him to win that cup, and that was his last game, and he finally got it. So that's the first one I was really invested in, was that 89 Flames, because I think that was actually the first year that we actually had cable TV at my house too, so we actually were able to watch it.
There you go.
So that was another reason for the Lonnie McDonald, Rusty Jones, and Lawrence is trying to get us the picture. We'll get it here for you, you kids out there, for you youngins. Rusty Jones was a thing back in the day.
Guaranteed rust proofing.
There it is.
There he
There's
is.
Rusty/Lonnie. So when you're 10 years old and you see Lonnie McDonald out on the ice, the first thing I think of is Grandpa's car. That guy worked on Grandpa's car. I hope he wins the Stanley Cup so he doesn't have to work on cars anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool, for a guy too with like that long of a career, that beloved, to win his cup on the last day of his career.
On like one leg too.
And
He
there's
was so
there-
injured.
Yeah,
too.
there's so many iconic photos of guys
Scored
with
the
their Stanley Cup.
clinching goal in that game, I
Yep.
believe too.
He is just hugging it like a child. He's got his eyes closed, his head is rested against the bowl, just like, I finally did it. I can finally call it a career.
Pinnacle, yeah.
To tie it like to the Cubs, like kind of like David Ross, like a very similar kind of a thing, like a big personality, not the most talented guy in the whole world, but really good for a long time, just never got a shot, and to have that moment in your last game, just incredible. It's there's so many cool images of Lanny McDonald winning that cup. I was not really cognizant of hockey until you talk about video games. The EA Sports series really got me into it.
Yeah.
Even like
EA Sports.
Yeah.
It's in the game.
Like NHL 93, 94. I always like 95 the best. I don't know why. I think maybe that's when I got good at it.
Is that the one where they could bleed?
I think 93 was the head bleed.
No,
one.
yeah, they got rid of it in 94 or 5. I feel.
It was
Yeah.
only for like a season or two. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just
Swingers.
They played the
Exactly.
MIDI version of Here Come the Hawks on there, and
Oh, yeah.
it's how you would learn players. And look, half the Hawks games of the year weren't on TV, so I was cognizant of the Hawks Cup final in '92, and I was into it. But I really became a big Hawks fan after that. Like 93, 94, 95 is really like my formative years as a Hawks fan.
Joe Murphy.
Yeah, Joe Murphy. Well, Joe Murphy was one of my favorites till he told me to go F off at a Who concert.
Hey now.
Hey.
I'm like, hey, it's Joe Murphy. He's like, hey. No, he said, go F yourself. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, when
I just recognized Joe Murphy. I should get some credit for that, not scorn.
Well, and then who ended up effing himself in the end? Yeah, there you go.
It's a sad story,
It
man.
is.
It's and I'm sure at the time he was going through some troubling. But that was like my first like don't meet your heroes moment of many.
yeah.
But hey, you're Joe Murphy. Hey, go F yourself. Okay, well,
Sorry.
oh, I'm 17, so I have been. I promise you.
How dare you interrupt Baba O'Reilly?
Yeah,
right.
that was after the show too. We were like walking to the parking lot. Joe Murphy at Tinley Park, jerk.
Wait, was that the Quadrophenia tour?
No, it was not as specific. It was like a greatest hit show.
It was the Roger Daltrey has alimony payments tour.
I was at
They
it.
played Behind Blue Eyes twice.
Oh, God.
Because the first time Roger Daltrey was like, "That sucked. We're doing it again," and we're all like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna hear Behind Blue Eyes again."
Free music.
I was in Tinley Park for the Quadrophenia tour, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
and that was
put on a hell of a show.
Entwistle was still alive, and
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Entwistle.
not quite.
Yeah. Well.
Kenzie Entwistle probably wasn't even born yet.
All right. So
No.
I've got a lot of favorite cup moments, but as I was reflecting on this, my new favorite is very recent. 2020 Cup Final, Game 3. Steven Stamkos plays two shifts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was
and
it
scores
two?
a
I
goal.
thought it was just the one.
He played 2:47 of that game. So unless it was one super long shift,
No,
which I don't think it was,
no.
he comes in, takes a shot, scores a goal, and then basically never plays again. He had not played in the playoffs before then and did not play after. It was one magical moment for Steven Stamkos.
And he had like some sort of like
Core injury.
yes.
yeah, like a core muscle like
And
just
it's
tear.
somebody who's been doing yoga for the last 13 months. I know how important the core muscle is, and if that thing were to ever like shred,
That's why I don't have
well,
any.
think about think about just
Galaxy
like
brain.
your
taking
core
the
muscles
David
like
Wells route.
breathing and like just like shifting your body
Think
like
about skating with a core
yeah,
injury.
just
And then
just
scoring
even
a
ice
goal
skating.
in the Stanley Cup final game. The game winner, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think-
And also,
yeah.
in the context of the time, everybody thought Stamkos was done.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was play out this contract. Maybe he finished his career on LTIR or whatever. Like, we're never going to see Steven Stamkos again. Then all of a sudden, this year, he has, like, basically a career year. Is the guy who everyone knew he was early in his career. Unbelievable comeback
Only
for him.
32 years old.
I know,
I
and we're
heard
talking
that
about
last
him-
night on the
Crazy.
NHL Network. I was like, wait, what?
Is a potential Conn Smythe winner.
Not according to
not
Not
according
according
to
to
Points
PointsBet.
Bet thought his
but
career
We're
ended.
going to make
we'll-
a call, though.
we'll-
We're going to make a
yeah,
call.
we'll
Points
try
Bet
and
thought
get
his
that
career
figured out.
ended in 2020.
We'll get that
apparently.
figured out. Yeah.
But just in the context of that moment, that was magical.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminds me of, it wasn't a cup final game, so it doesn't count, but Mario Lemieux's last game, where he gets a breakaway and scores at the end of the game. I had no interest in Penguins and Flyers at that time. I was sobbing. Sobbing. That was such a magical moment for Mario Lemieux. And he scores, and he's like, he looks up to the heavens. He's got his hands out. Like, that was such a memorable moment. And the Stamkos thing, like, all right, he's going to give it a go. Comes out, scores, and they're like, he's not playing anymore today. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the sort of stuff that you'll tell your grandkids about throughout history. Like,
It's stuff. It's folklore.
absolutely.
It's folklore. It's Casey at the bat type stuff.
Yeah.
Except he actually hit
Except
the ball.
that, yeah, it actually happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Babe Ruth calling his shot at Wrigley Field allegedly and hitting a home run in the World Series. Except this actually happened. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the stuff that legends are made of. It's the stuff you talk about at Hall of Fame induction speeches.
when we talk about too, like, other truly iconic Cup final moments. You've got the Messier guarantee in '94, and then that image of him like shaking the cup and nodding. So there it is on our
I love
screen.
that
Yeah.
series too because foreshadowing or whatever you want to call it. I love this series because I'm the biggest Steve Larmer fan on the planet.
Yes, you are.
And I am such a Steve Larmer fan that he actually made me think it was okay for one spring to
for New
a
York.
New York team.
Wow.
So, yeah, more on Steve Larmer Thursday, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Stay
He's not
tuned.
responded to me on Twitter yet, so
Well, Thursday is Steve
We'll see.
Larmer's birthday, and we're going to dedicate our Throwback Thursday episode to good old number 28,
Gramps.
who should be in the gosh darn Hockey Hall of Fame by now. But more on that on Thursday.
it's almost absurd.
But that was the stuff of legendary. We're going to win Game 7. They win Game 7 that was the conference final.
yeah.
And then, of course, they caused Vancouver.
I was a Devils fan back then.
I was rooting for I was rooting for the Rangers, but I wouldn't have been broken. I always had a soft spot for the Devils. And then, of course, they caused Vancouver for another post-Stanley Cup final riot. I believe that was the first one.
Good job. Congratulations,
and
Vancouver.
then they got to repeat that again
2011,
in 2011.
yeah.
So,
But I think when we talk about the most iconic Stanley Cup image, it's Bobby Orr flying through the air,
yeah.
sweeping
yeah.
the Blues, just like the Superman pose.
The goal.
That's like one of those
when you do
things
something
that-
that's called the goal,
The goal.
and you know
That's-
what people are
yes.
talking about. It's pretty
Pretty
iconic.
special. Yeah.
It's one of those sports images that everyone can identify, whether they're a fan of the game or not. Very similar to the Jordan dunk from the free throw line, like just that still image, right, of Jordan like
Or that
biting his lip.
Jordan behind the basket against
Yeah,
the Lakers
right,
in the
yeah.
final that was on that Gatorade commercial
Switch
for
Yeah.
years.
hands, yeah.
I mean, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Michael
Isn't
Jordan.
Bobby Orr's statue in Boston?
It's the
Yes.
goal.
flying? Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
yes.
So it's
Though he should be wearing a Hawks jersey, my friend.
should be outside the United Center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black right next to the pinball machine at the bottom lounge.
For me, again, I'm going to be the young person on the show. In one of the, I don't really remember too much of the 2002 final. I think probably because it was the Red Wings, and I was just like, I'm not going to really watch them. But 2003, with my childhood and hockey, the Mighty Ducks were huge
Yeah.
at that time and a huge part of it. So with the Ducks being in the Cup final, I was a big fan of Paul Kariya. I've mentioned on the show the late 90s, early 2000s. If you were short and good, you were my guy. So Paul Kariya, I was a big fan of him, and knowing how his career and life changed from that moment makes it a little weird. But Scott Stevens knocking him out in the final and then him coming back and scoring in the game, I mean, that is one of the craziest highlights I think that there will ever be in hockey, and it sticks out to me. Being young and watching those games. Obviously, the Ducks didn't end up winning the series, but that was one of those moments where it was just
the JSG Gare run.
Yeah.
Rookie goalie just gets hot, takes him to the final. And
Exactly.
again, Marty Brodeur in your way.
Yep.
Yeah.
in his
That was a
prime,
great
but
series. The '99
Yeah.
Cup final was big for me. That was the Buffalo Dallas.
Brett Hull in the
Brett
crease.
Hull's foot in the crease. But it was leading up to that final that sticks with me because my family, it was our last family vacation really before my sister and I got old enough to go on our own. And we went to Yellowstone. We spent 2.5 weeks in Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons. And when you're in Yellowstone Park, there's nothing to do when the sun goes down. They pretty much tell you don't be hanging out in dark because you can get ripped apart by a bear or a wolf.
Yeah.
And there's no lights. So
Or both.
Right. Depending on which one gets you first. So we would go back to the hotel, we'd get dinner, go back to the hotel, and we would watch the hockey as a family. And that was Stars Avalanche in the Western Conference final. I believe that was a 7-game series, so I was so involved. And then, then it leads to that memorable goal. And I wanted Buffalo to win so bad because I loved Dominic Hasek, and I was still one of those guys like, they shouldn't be playing hockey in Texas. They shouldn't win a cup. And I always hated Brett Hull, so that just enraged me. But that's a memorable one.
Speaking of Brett Hull, shout out moment for that BS overtime winner that was illegal. His foot was in the crease. That was the rule at the time that had been called to the T every game leading up to that moment. And then at the biggest moment possible, they decided to not call it that way. Bad call.
Sham Cup.
Well, it's 'cause
However-
they had already blown off the fireworks. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't reload them.
You can't put the bullet back in the gun, apparently.
Well, good news is that was the end of that rule.
Yes.
Where his skate blade is in the crease, so therefore
I
it's not
hated
a
that
goal.
rule.
It was a bad
dumb rule, but it was still a rule.
Was the rule.
Yeah,
and
just
it should not have won the cup.
The delay a game rule drives me up the wall too nowadays.
Yeah, so that's my special shout out cup moment because it ended a terrible rule. But a really bad way to lose a cup is to have what we've been doing it this way all year. What are we doing?
Yeah.
That would be like a goaltender interference rule review.
Don't put that in the universe, buddy.
Hey,
don't put that out there.
don't put anything past the NHL referees right now. Right?
All the good vibes heading into this series, they will destroy that with an offside review that lasts 28
any
minutes.
reviews or anything like that. Like, I really hope nothing comes
All right, so
down
Mario
to that.
brought up the glorious riding in Vancouver, and when I think of iconic moments or photos, personally, I mean, is there anything more iconic than this
Yeah.
photo right here?
That's pretty good.
Nothing
Such
like
a-
getting a little loving as a riot's going on
The
around
Vancouver kissing couple in the middle of that riot it's just one of the craziest photos.
It's one of the
ever taken.
wildest pictures. The story behind it is crazy too.
How old is the baby that was conceived? 2 minutes later.
11, I guess.
Kid's got to be
10 or
like
11?
in the.
It was nice of the
fourth grade.
Vancouver police though to create a barrier around them so they can get down to business. That was
You know.
very thoughtful. The one I think of
It's
from
Canadian.
the riots
It's Canadian nice.
is the teenage kid holding the hockey stick, screaming outside of a bank that's got the window broken. Kid with glasses. He's like and he's got a Canucks T-shirt and he's got a hockey stick and the glass is broken behind him. Like, wow, you just lost. You should be used to this by now.
There are still no cups in Canada since 1993.
It's crazy.
Yep. Well,
wild.
one last quick one here. I know we're up against it, but the most recent Cup final that I really enjoyed was 2018 Capitals Vegas.
Yes.
That had a lot of great
Lot of
story.
fun.
You had the Vegas run. That was before they got super annoying. And
Vegas
then,
with Fleury.
And then you had Ovechkin. You know, say what you want about him, whatever.
Yeah.
I have loved watching Alex Ovechkin play his entire career. The dude has been amazing. I feel blessed that I've been able to watch his entire career. I wanted him to get a Stanley Cup so bad, and when they were able to do it, that was awesome. That was that was the most recent final. Since then, I've kind of been like, I'll watch it because you know it's kind of my
the
job.
final. Yeah.
But this year, this is the most excited I've been about a Stanley Cup final since this Capitals Vegas one.
Whenever you have a transcendent player like Ovechkin,
A generational player.
yes, and they don't win, think about Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Where like the entire narrative of this incredible football player is, well, he never won a Super Bowl.
Got there once his
And
rookie
you want,
season, never
like,
went back.
McDavid needs to win a cup.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews needs to win a cup.
Yeah.
You need these great players
About
to win
guys like
cups.
Charles Barkley, the first thing they say is never won a championship.
Yeah, which is, well, he's sort of reinvented himself in the broadcast realm.
Right.
But yeah, like to have that be the qualifier
Patrick
in your
Ewing.
career, that sucks, especially in a team sport like that. That's a really tough thing to live down.
Yeah,
And I think
it's-
that's why I was glad to see Ovechkin get one.
It's
Because
hard.
he
I
deserved
mean,
one.
people will tear you down when you say this guy's one of the greatest players ever. Well, he never won a title. Well, it's a team sport. Like, it's not necessarily his
Yeah.
fault. So when you get that added to your resume, it will shut up that sector
Exactly.
of the fandom.
Yeah. Like, I look at Joe Thornton. Like, he had an incredible career
First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
and never got a
Not
cup.
yet. He's going to play for another 9 years.
I mean, potentially, yeah.
That's who Captain Alex DeBrincat is going to hand the Stanley Cup to in 2027.
there you go. To a
Fourth line center,
50-year-old
Joe
Joe
Thornton.
Thornton.
His beard is going to be down to his knees.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that 2018 final was a great final. Even though it was only 5 games, it was just a great final and full of, incredible moments. One that sticks out to me was I think it was a 2-1 game. I think it was game 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly, but Vegas had like a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. And it looked like it was a sure goal, and Braden Holtby just with the paddle stops it right on the goal line in late in the third period, completely shifting the momentum of the series, and the Capitals go on to win. That was the Capitals and Ovechkin finally getting past. We talk about the Blackhawks and their finally getting past the Red Wings in 2013 and kind of avenging that, and the Capitals and the Penguins for those 2010s were just, that was like the Eastern Conference rivalry, and you knew most years the Cup was going through that series, and the Capitals could just never get past the second round, never get past the Penguins. And again, second round, Penguins, they get past them. Just, I remember the goal, Kuznetsov with, flapping his wings, and it was just like, at that moment, they still had to go through the Eastern Conference final to get to the Stanley Cup final, but it was just like, that was the moment where you're like, this Capitals team is going to do it. And I'm a lot like you, Greg. Like, I've always loved watching Ovechkin play and seeing him finally raise the cup. You just see it as he's just, with missing the tooth. Like, it was just the elation that he had was awesome, and it led to the summer of Ovi, which was just as fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Speaking of mythological folklore, so many great stories were forgotten in that summer.
Oh, no doubt.
And of course, the post celebration gave us a great moment off the ice right there in Vegas. You can Google that.
That was fun too.
There was a couple extra spectators in the crowd that night.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless it's on live TV.
It's shown on NBC
exactly.
Sports.
All right, we're going to wrap the show up here. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy CHGO, remember the best way to help us continue to grow is to download that PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but make a $50 or more first-time deposit, and you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Any questions, shoot an email to pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll get you squared away. And remember, online sign-up is available now in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And a reminder, tomorrow we continue our player evaluations. We've got, I have it here on the calendar, and I already forgot. It is D-Day,
D-Day.
Alex DeBrincat, and Calvin DeHaan. So make sure you join us for that show as well. We're trying to find a Columbus Blue Jackets guest to talk about Brad Shaw, but it's a busy week in Columbus apparently.
Everybody's on jury duty in Columbus.
Yeah, lots going on. Lots going on in
something big happening in
C-Town?
Columbus.
I don't know. No one calls it that.
C-Town?
Yeah, sure.
The
The bus. There we go.
Bus.
Big times happening in the bus. So
Columbus.
We'll get to it. I'm sure we've got some time yet. But remember to join us tomorrow at 11 for our player evaluations and a whole lot more on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.